I just want to show that video because I think, although it's a chair, it's not architecture. I think there are so many kind of identifiable relationships there with design, materiality, digital, analog, craft, working with this kind of piece of a tree, but through kind of amazing structural design and skill, turning it into this very refined product, which ultimately is still finished by hand. Which I think, I'm sure you can imagine there are many kind of similarities there with architectural design. Okay, so this kind of specificity of technology is really key to the course, to the module. Okay, we're looking for you to explore technologies that are highly specific to your studio, to your project, to your individual interests, maybe to your kind of emerging dissertation themes. We very much want you to pursue this kind of idea of a technology which is unique and specific to you and your projects. And we are very much not looking for a generic technology. Okay, that's really important. And so we do kind of, we do push you to be experimental. We push you to engage in technology research and to pursue projects that give you that kind of capability to explore areas that are unfamiliar to you or that are perhaps kind of untested. We're showing a few 50-year projects as we go along here. So that is really important. We don't want you to play it safe. The module is not about you kind of demonstrating building control compliance. You're not building your project. You're not producing construction drawings for site. It's very much a technology investigation. Okay. Now, obviously, the course is aligned to the RIBA criteria for technology. So, as long as you pass the module and you pass the technology module in Y6, then you've met the RIBA criteria. Okay. In actual fact, the technology modules are asking for a lot more than the sort of minimum RIBA technology standard. Okay. That's quite important. We're looking for creative, sustainable integration. Obviously, Irena is pushing ahead with this Changes Now event that we had Tuesday, was it? Wednesday. And we're making a big push on that. But in terms of your projects, we're looking for you to integrate that kind of environmental design into your architecture. And as I say, research and experimentation. We're very happy for you to try things, to explore new areas. And your project, your technology work is not assessed by a kind of degree of success in terms of you won't get better marks for whoever can produce the most watertight gutter detail. Okay, we're not really looking for that. So in any area of experimentation or research, there can be failure, there can be things that didn't quite work as expected, but there's a lot of learning to be had from that. So really push you to be bold and to kind of engage in a kind of experimental way of working. We'll be using case studies in some of the lectures, and we'll be talking about specific buildings. We'll be looking at a relationship to practice. So we're not in practice here. We're not kind of pretending that you're working in an architect's office, but there's a relationship to practice, and we're aware that you will all be going out into the workplace in a few years' time, and we've got this kind of relationship in terms of employability. The lecture series will start to introduce you to some more kind of practice-relevant skills in terms of detailing, materiality, simulation. There's some introduction to kind of BIM technologies, all of which have a relationship and a relevance to practice. We have a series of sessions which are called Drawing Detail, and these are starting to look at more advanced construction techniques, and they'll be done live. So these are just some extracts from a previous session. And what we're going to do is we're going to use drawing as a technique to understand the case studies in more detail, but also to look at a methodology of the way that you can explore material construction and detailing. And these are just some examples, all drawn live very rapidly. Some of those sessions I'll probably be asking for some volunteers to come up and do a bit of drawing. Okay, it won't just be me doing it. And we'll be using some very basic analog tools, pen and paper. Okay. References and resources. We've got 3 websites for you to look at. They're all referenced in the module handbook with the web address. The technology references takes you through to a set of kind of selected books and journals, which I've picked as references which I think are kind of most interesting and relevant to you. But there are quite a few references. I'm not expecting you to read them all. The idea with this website is you go in there, you have a look. Every reference has a short summary, and you get a few page extracts, and that hopefully helps you to then pick and choose which ones might be more interesting to you. Okay, as opposed to, I'm not a big fan of a traditional bibliography where you give a whole list of texts and you give no guidance to students on which are more relevant, how many pages are in them. I find that kind of almost useless, really. So here what I'm trying to do is say, look, here's what's kind of available. It's not, it's not covered everything, and I welcome if anybody finds other references, let me know and we can add to this. Then, sorry, let's go back a slide. The Complex Material Assembly website, you can have a look at that. That's got lots and lots of example submissions from previous years. And they are formatted by theme and by year. You can click on those links, you get a sort of enlarged JPEG, and there's a little link at the bottom for the PDF. So if you want to go and download the full resolution PDF, you can do that as well. And your general MArch technology website is just a kind of notice board, really. It's just where we'll put the calendars on there. We'll put some events onto that. But Mole remains the main sort of university interface for course content. Your submissions will go on Mole. These videos that I'm recording, I put the videos on YouTube, but then I'll embed the YouTube link into the Mole website. Okay, so we have to keep using Mole. I'm not a big fan of Mole. I don't find it a very user-friendly interface, but it is the university system. Okay, but we'll use these websites as well. Using Pinterest, how many people have got a Pinterest account? Nearly everybody. Okay, great. I find it a really useful way of formatting visual links to websites, visual links to projects, as opposed to the traditional sort of bookmarks, or even, in fact, as opposed to just collecting JPEGs and putting them in a folder. So I've started creating quite a few boards in my own Pinterest area which are relevant to technology. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to go and look at them now. But if you follow me, if you search for Aidan Hoggard in Pinterest, you'll find me. And hopefully you'll find particularly the ones that, like here, drawings, construction, drawings, sections, analog details. Have a look at my boards and start pinning them onto your own boards. It's just really important to create your own kind of visual database so that when you come to produce drawings, you can learn from all that work and all that skill that other people have explored for years, rather than starting from scratch. I'll just quickly go into one. Yes, this is my what's this? This is my construction drawings board, and I think I've tried to get a range, but there's some really good ways of integrating technology into project drawings, and they range from the technical to the more kind of collage-based. Whole range on there. So, please have a look at that, and if you follow me, then I might go and have a look at what you've got and follow some of your things, and maybe start collating. I think the important thing is to just be careful about what you collect. There's a tendency with Pinterest just to pin everything, and you end up with a massive resource of all sorts. So, just select things that you really are kind of drawn to. So in the lecture series, there's a mixture. We've got the case studies, we've got the drawing detail, and I will be introducing some analysis and some simulation skills. Okay, all of those, the simulation, the analysis skills, the BIM skills, the format that I run them in is I deliver them through demonstrations in the class, which are recorded. Some sessions I don't demonstrate in the class, they're simply a video, and I just put that on Mole, and you need to look at that in your own time. Okay. Then the emphasis is on you to go and practice some of those skills in your self-directed learning. Okay. What I'm not doing is a kind of traditional computer lab where we all sit in a lab and I say, okay, everybody click on a plan, and then I go around and 20 minutes later, right, everyone's got there, right, now everybody draw a wall. I'm not doing that, okay? I think with software nowadays, you need to be skilled, you need to be adaptive, and you need to be resourceful. So the way I play it, I demonstrate, you get the video, you can then go off and practice. You can watch the video, you can try it, you can stop, you can try again, you can rewind, and I think that is a much better way of learning software skills. Okay, and I mean, I don't think anybody in here would really want to sit all Monday morning in a computer lab, playing about in Revit. So it's the way I've been doing it for a few years now, and I think it is a quite successful way of working. I'll also direct you to some videos which are not mine. Okay, I'll direct you to some areas. If you're interested in this, have a look at this tutorial series on YouTube. If you want to learn that software, go and have a look at that. And then it's very much for you to find your kind of way through it. Okay. The ethos of the simulation is about integrated simulation. So the software that I'll be using will be integrated into design workflow. So this is an example from last year where the student was, because this was an integrated process, they could very, very rapidly produce renderings, produce daylight analysis from that integrated model. So we're not kind of exporting it and importing it and learning all this different software. We're just keeping it quite simple. The software is all changing, and all we can do is dip in to where that software is now, but it will all be different in 5 years' time, I guarantee you that. Okay, just another example from that project. Tutorials we've mentioned, you'll be having tutorial input, and the sign up for those tutorials will be online through a Google document, so you can just sign up anywhere. We have to kind of spread those out throughout the week. They're not always on the same day. We have to be slightly flexible in terms of our external consultants who come in. And I think it says in the handbook that you then need to do a bit of preparation for those tutorials. You need to bring some printed drawings, prepare some questions. And as I said earlier, we will be drawing, and this is why it's important that you bring some hard copy. Because if you turn up with a CAD drawing on the screen, nobody can draw it or scale it or understand it. Okay. Complex material assembly, there is a separate briefing session for this. I think it's in February. But just briefly to explain it to you, it's a phase where we push you into a technological and material investigation. Okay, and we do it at a point which gives you plenty of time afterwards to then explore that further in your project. Sometimes students say it's too early. I think your submission is March. But you have to start engaging with technology at some point in your project, and we deliberately put it in there so that you can't just sort of leave the technology to the last few weeks of your project. And it's been I'd say it's been a very, very successful initiative since we introduced it about 5 years ago. The quality of the work that's come out of it has been of a very high standard, and what we've been finding, and it's something that the external examiners have commented on, is that in many cases the strongest design projects at the end of the year were being partly driven by this technology investigation that was taking place earlier in the year, and the weaker design projects were the ones that had just left the technology purely as a means of kind of keeping the rain out or keeping it warm. Okay, so go and have a look on the CMA, we call it CMA, Complex Material Assembly website. Just get a feel for those examples of the kind of work. But I mean, it doesn't actually, we won't introduce it until February. Okay, so I'm mentioning it now, but it's quite a long way off. But useful that you kind of know what's coming. So these are some of the examples. There's a big emphasis on assembly. We really want you to get to grips with how you put materials together. There's often quite an experimental element to it as well. And then integrated technology. We assess your final technology through the integration of your technology into your portfolio. So we're not asking for a separate set of technical drawings. There's no separate technology submission. We're not asking for 1 to 5 gutter details, anything like that. We want to see the technology that is embedded into your project. And it mentions in the handbook about the kinds of drawings you might use, and I'll give you more examples later in the year. But we're very much not looking for that technology as a kind of solution to problems. We're looking at it as a creative generator in your projects. And in some cases, it's a kind of an environmental driver, like this project. And in other projects, it's a more kind of material study, material investigation. And in some projects, it might be a structural investigation. So the work I've been showing you, all of these previous images, this is all CMA work. This is all work that was developed as part of the Complex Material Assembly project, all of this is. But then, most of this work then featured very heavily in the final integrated technology in the project. Okay, I think we're done. Yeah, last one. Okay, so that's it. Obviously, there's quite a lot to take on board there. I will take questions now, but feel free if you have any queries over the next few days or weeks, drop me an email. I'm happy to respond. Anybody got anything they want to ask now? Okay, great. So the key thing in the coming weeks is just to check your calendar, because you have got events now for the next few Fridays up to Christmas. I can't quite remember what they are, but there's a range of events. So just keep an eye on those and make sure that you don't miss anything. All right, thank you.